Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and everybody in between. My name is Kexman, and I'm here at Gamescom, and I'm so incredibly grateful. I have a fantastic opportunity to interview Sardinha and Toby Ragaini. If you want to do me a quick favor, introduce yourselves, what you folks do on Warcraft, and specifically, what have we got coming forward for Midnight from you folks?
Hello everyone, I'm Sardinha. I'm lead UX designer for the WoW team. I work on Midnight, a lot of UIs that the game needed, and also work a lot with Toby on the housing UI.
Hello, my name's Toby. I am a design lead on the World of Warcraft, and I am focused at the moment on player housing.
The big one, player housing, that everyone has been waiting for and everyone is so excited for. I suppose my first question for yourself, Toby, at what point did it become obvious that player housing was going to be a feature that you folks were like, okay, now is the time for us to start this, now is the time for us to do this?
Yeah, I think, obviously housing is something that players have been asking for a long time, but we had an understanding that we didn't just want to deliver the sort of, bare minimum that we could check the box off. In order to, I think, satisfy the audience, we wanted to make sure that we weren't just meeting expectations, but we were actually exceeding them. And so, as a consequence, housing, as you may have experienced yourself, is a very big feature, and it is incredibly connected to the rest of the game, but it's also involving a bunch of new technology in its own right. Even the way that the server backend is balancing these neighborhoods is something that we've had to develop specifically for this challenge. So it really is exciting to see the way that people are responding to the demo, but it's been an enormous amount of work and effort to get to here. So it's not been something that we decided on a lark by any means.
Yeah.
Yeah, so on the UI side, as he said, there's a lot of technology behind it. As you know, WoW is a 20 years old game. So the UI that we did 20 years ago is very different than the UI we need now. So we started that project since Legion. If I think about it, we starting working on some 9 slicing 4K assets, nothing that players would see directly, but we start switching some of the assets, and then when we got to Dragonflight and we were able to really deliver the new HUD, the new edit mode, and all that, we had that background work done, so we can just now add much easier things with player housing. Like we have even 3D tools in housing that you can use and manage, your decor much easier. So if you haven't done this work back in Legion through now, it will be much more time. That's why we needed time to get the tools right, and all the technology really needed to deliver something that's gonna live for many years, that we can keep adding stuff to housing, and that's like really the main goal.
Yeah, you folks, I'm sure you've probably seen a bunch of footage from housing. It is so much fun. I know I touched upon this, talking to the both of you yesterday, saying how amazing it is. I think for me, the most interesting part of it is how simple it is to kind of get started on it, and I think part of that comes from both a design point and from a UI point as well, which I think is very, very impressive. But also, once you've got the hang of it, the amount of stuff you can do once you get in depth, once you get into the more advanced things, what you can create is absolutely mind-blowing. And from a UI point of view, how important was it for you folks to make sure that it was accessible and very easy to grasp, but also had the ability to create as much depth as we have seen from the housing?
Yeah, so since the beginning, working with design and understanding the goals and all that was very important, but we knew when you got to the decor part of the housing, when you really want to move things around and really make your room, using the regular HUD we have today, which is very focused on combat in a way, and basic menus, that you can access a lot of things, it wasn't necessary. So to make sure it's a feature that even new players and veteran players can just use, we just made a whole new UI for it. And we kept the elements that are important, like the chat, the mini-map, and things like that. But that was something that we were pretty certain at the beginning, and also because you want to make sure that you have a house chest, which is your collection of the cores that you have. And we knew also from playing many other collection games and farming games, housing games, and survival games, it's really a little frustrating to find the decor you want. So we really focus on the design team as well to make the filters and the keywords work right away, because we knew how many decor we're gonna have.
Over 1,000.
It's a lot.
That's a lot.
So if you don't have a way to really search easily, it will be very, very painful. So there are many ways you can search. So you have the categories, icons, that we did a lot of user research on them to make sure they're really like, you look at it, okay, this is a lamp. I'm going to look for a lamp. I'm going to look for a chair or things like that, a rug. So you know exactly what looking for. The search bar is very, very good because if you, let's say you are a night elf, you really want to make that living room very night elf. If you type night elf there, it's going to filter everything for you.
The filter was really useful when I was doing it, being able to just go, I want gnomish, I want orcish, I want, you know, and being able to not only just pick one at a time, you could mix and match, you know, along those sort of lines. I thought that was absolutely incredible. And you mentioned the Legion, like it started in Legion and everything. Yeah. And I suppose question more for Toby on this one, but how difficult was it as a development team to go, okay, we need to stop and actually make the housing now, rather than constantly adding new things? I imagine the list of stuff in regards to accessories and furnishings is exhaustive. I imagine it's massive.
Yeah, it is. So just, you know, managing and sourcing and sort of surfacing all the different decor items is a huge task, but it's an important one because we don't want player housing to exist as a separate system by itself in isolation. It was incredibly important that housing be deeply integrated with the core loops of WoW. And so that meant that anytime that you're finding loot, anytime that you're getting items, whether it's crafting or in quests or dungeons or whatever, that you might be acquiring decor. And so that means that there's someone's job out there is to take all these different items and find what is the perfect place for the player to acquire this particular piece of decor. And so, you know, that's the amount of effort that it takes when you're dealing with a game that operates at the scale of WoW. So it's not just like, you know, the experience of being in the home and acquiring the you know, the decorations. It's like, you know, how do I know what there is available to me? Like, what am I aspiring to? And that's where it's, you know, so important for the, as you mentioned, the UI to be both accessible but also very extensible. And again, that's a lot of the effort goes into that. We've had enormous feedback from user testing and feedback from different internal groups. And now, of course, we're going to be slowly releasing this to the gaming audience for WoW, and we're going to be listening to their feedback. And we know we're not going to get this perfect the first time, but housing is an evergreen feature. And I think you're seeing the commitment, you know, almost going back to dragon riding, where it's like, if people like something that was specific to an expansion, we're going to keep building on it. Delves is a more recent example of that, and housing is already planning on, you know, the next major patch, even the next expansion, what we're going to be adding and building on.
And mentioning adding and building on, obviously, we've seen a lot of the inside of the houses over the past couple of days here, and you know, we've seen screenshots. We haven't seen a lot in regards to the outsides. We haven't had access here at Gamescom to the outside of the houses from both a design standpoint and a UI standpoint. Are there any differences between what we see inside versus outside in regards to what you can place, what you can do, and roughly how much, I suppose the word, you know, how much can we do outside of the house? Because that's going to be quite an expressive part before people go in. That will be where they'll express a lot of how they feel about their housing and such. So what's the difference we're seeing there? Yeah,
no, it's an important distinction because what you're seeing on the show floor today is obviously the interior. The exterior is a separate functional space. You have the plot, where's the sort of your yard. You have the house that sits on the plot, and then you can also add decorations to the yard itself. And Laura can describe the ways that the UI works for designing the exterior of your home. But what's important to keep in mind is that we did not want to force a spatial relationship between the interior of your house and the exterior. And the reason is because ultimately we felt like that would be too constrictive and it would not necessarily make the experience more fun. So it is a bit of a TARDIS effect where you enter into a space that could be small on the outside but is bigger on the inside. But, you know, we feel like that's actually not a bad thing. It's kind of cool. And Do you want to talk about the exterior?
Yeah, so the exterior, the barbershop UI, character
Yes.
creation UI, where you have your full screen of whatever you're customizing. And then on the right, you have drop downs with all the options. So you're going to see the whole house full screen, and then you're going to have the UI on the right.
Oh, that's
where
cool.
like, okay, roof, and then you change that, and then you can add towers, you can add, different elements to your house, and it can be very different from your neighbor, that is for sure.
Which is, what you want. You kind of want to have that distinction between your house, and not only that, but you also want to make it your space.
Yep.
And I think that's one of the greatest things, is that there is so much that has been in there, like you said, over 1,000 different items and everything along those lines. You end up in that situation where you can make it your space. If you want it to just be a completely, alliance-focused space, you can. If you just want it to be animals, you can kind of do that, or a food hall, or so. You have that ability.
Yeah, we've had internally artists make interior spaces that look like caves, that look like gardens. Like there's it's really amazing. And one thing I did want to add in, jumping puzzles, absolutely. One thing I did want to add though quickly is that the exterior we're launching with 4 different culture kits. Mm-hmm. Orc, human, blood elf, and night elf, and so that will be the initial options, and we're hoping to build from there.
Yeah, obviously, there is so much out there that, as you mentioned, it's an evergreen thing. There's going to be Tauren, there's going to be gnomes. There are so many different things you can add to that. And I mean, we've spoken about the exterior, but expanding on that, neighborhoods. Neighborhoods obviously is going to be really interesting to see, because you have like guild neighborhoods, you have your personal neighborhoods that you can do, but also the endeavors as well that kind of go involved into that. What was the idea behind endeavors? Was it a case of kind of, these are neighborhoods, let's make them feel like neighborhoods? People are all working towards the same thing as the Azeroth HOA, for example.
Maybe not an HOA, but I think the goal was, in the way that acquiring Decor gives you a reason to visit your home. We wanted endeavors to be able to provide a reason to send you from your neighborhood back out into the world of Azeroth. And so, roughly speaking, endeavors are sort of a combination of a world quest and the travel log from the trade post, but specific to your neighborhood. If you're in a private neighborhood, your neighborhood manager will be able to select a specific endeavor from a short list, and that is going to commit the neighborhood to about a month-long time period where they're making communal progress towards the endeavor's progress bar. The themes behind the endeavors are based on different cultures coming to visit your neighborhood.
Okay.
So say you are working on the endeavor with the gnomes from Mechagon. As you make progress, you'll start seeing not just gnomes visiting your neighborhood, you'll start seeing props and artifacts of the Mechagon culture appearing in your neighborhood, and it sort of becomes a visual indicator of your progress. So it's not just a number go up thing. It's actually, you're customizing your neighborhood as you do this. And so that's just the first way that we're going to be allowing the community within a neighborhood to kind of express themselves and differentiate themselves from other neighborhoods, which may be doing an entirely different endeavor.
You mentioned the sort of the community manager almost, or the neighborhood manager, deciding on what endeavor is happening. Have you thought about adding a situation where the neighborhood can vote on which endeavor gets chosen? So, for example, there are 3 endeavors that you can choose. Instead of having one person with the power to make that decision, it then becomes a neighborhood-wide vote. So people will say, right, okay, we want to do this one, and then at the end of, say, the reset day, say Tuesday in NA, Wednesday in EU, that then becomes the endeavor. Is that something that has been thought of, or?
Yeah, I think there's a bit of complexity in actually implementing something like that in a way that works with the timing. However, I would love to see players self-organize around a neighborhood manager. It doesn't have to be a single person. It's almost like a guild structure in that there can be multiple neighborhood managers, but they can also organize a vote however they want. Like if they want to have a town meeting type thing where they vote, go for it. Like the space is there for exactly that type of organization.
Okay.
On the UI for endeavors, you can access from anywhere. So it's like, let's say it's 30 minutes for your raid, and you want to take a look how that progress is going. Let's say we are in the same neighborhood, and I can see what you have done for this week, and we have like a log. And next to it's like all the activities people can do, so you can take a look what you can do next. Maybe something in the raid that you're gonna do next is gonna really add to that bar for the endeavor. So it's very flexible, how to really contribute to the neighborhood.
Which is good. I mean, housing is pretty flexible, as we've seen, and kind of moving just slightly away from housing, because I know that there was something that you mentioned yesterday that in regards to there's a lot of UI changes coming in Midnight. You mentioned, we've seen what's happened recently with sort of like the single button assistant. We've seen, what can we expect going into Midnight? What overhauls are we seeing, if any, or are we seeing any new additions potentially into the UI?
Yeah, there's a lot of cool things coming from Midnight. I think the first one we can talk about is the Transmog revamp. We revamped the whole window. It's much bigger, it looks more modernized, and we're introducing outfits, which are slots of like your outfits that you want to wear. We are going to give some to players for free. We don't have the exact number, and then it's a big list, so you can have a lot of them, so you can buy more outfits over time. There's like slots. They're not going to be expensive, pretty cheap. So that's what we're still TBD. But let's say you are working on an outfit and then thinking about housing. Is that I want to have pajamas, and then that's
gotta be cozy.
Yeah, exactly. So you make that outfit called like my housing outfit. And then you can go to the tab situations where you can set, every time I go in my house, I want to wear my pajamas. So when you set that up, you save the outfit. Every time you go to the house, it changes to your pajamas with no cost. So
if only real life was like that.
Yeah, it would be amazing. Yeah. So the only cost that we have is when you create that outfit for the first time and also unlocking that slot. But after that, it's just all automatically. So you can have your outfit for your raid. Every time you will like that badass, look. You can have like outfits based on your professions or your PvP. Many things. We had a great question about between neighborhoods and inside the house outfits. I believe that's a thing. I'll double check that, but totally possible. But yeah, that's pretty amazing. Another thing about transmog is that you don't transmog the item. It's like the slot. So when you're leveling and then you get a bunch of random gear set and then you look really like a clown, the cinematics, it's really funny. But now when you start and you transmog with that awesome outfit you have, when you pick and wear a new helmet, it stays the outfit you had.
That's nice.
But of course, you can always preview how that looks like. It goes to the collection, so the new helmet's there. It's prioritized at the beginning as a new item you looted, so not gonna get lost at all. But that's really cool. That's something that players really ask for. And I would like to say that we are adding our first damage meters to the game. So that was the bump drop I want to give it to you.
Okay, so we are having damage internal damage meters being included.
Official World of Warcraft damage meters.
Okay, that's huge.
Yes.
That is huge. That's going to be, is that going to be, because obviously with damage meters we see you can change how often it updates and you can have different colors. Are we seeing that same sort of accessibility?
It's very TBD. You can have multiple ones at the same time for sure. You can have a healing and damage, etc. On the little tiny details, the add-ons out there are very powerful with a lot of options. But that's still very work in progress. But it's set in stone. It is coming.
There we go.
So that's great.
I'm very excited for that.
Yeah.
That's huge.
We
that
are
is
also
huge.
introducing, revamping enemy nameplates.
Okay.
Yeah, we really wanted to do that back then when we did the HUD and everything, but it was a lot. So we really want to do like a very good work because that's very key. Even if you're casual, if you are like a veteran player, hardcore, the nameplates are very important to the game. So we're giving a lot of presets that players can just go to a drop-down option menu and pick from those. We have one that's classic inspired, another one that's like more bulky, big nameplate, another ones that are like little more like modernized. So we have many options that players can just pick. We also improved how the threat works. It's much like it has like a fire that's kind of like, you're pulling those guys are on you, be careful kind of thing.
As a tank, I'm excited for that. That's what I want. That's what I want to see.
And if they go around you, we also have an indicator like, hey, the guy's behind you.
Okay.
So be careful. And it looks really good. And also personal bar also is in the edit mode now. So we did some good improvements to edit mode, like in general, like a cleanup and other things. We also are introducing boss timers,
Okay.
which is in the raid. So when you're fighting that big boss, we have a timeline that shows the abilities and
casts.
what's coming. So that's the beginning of us working on, let's say, raid UI,
Yeah.
combat UI.
Okay.
So definitely want to hear a lot of feedback from players on this first phase of the project, and we're gonna keep working on it. And definitely, there's a lot there
That's
to
so exciting.
on.
So
Yeah.
exciting. I love because I mean the UI changes that have been made. I absolutely love them. Obviously. We could talk forever, but we've only got a
Yes.
certain amount of time. So just before we go, one final question for the both of you.
Yeah.
Just a small, quick one. Obviously, we've seen so many changes. We've seen so much coming in Midnight. Like, for you as developers, in a few short words, like how exciting is it to be a Warcraft developer right now?
You go first.
It's not just exciting, it's incredibly humbling to both work with such a talented, dedicated group of people, but also the feedback that we've been getting, not just for player housing, but for all the aspects of Midnight. You can't help but want to put in that little extra bit of effort. And so I'm just so appreciative of all the feedback that we're getting. Even the criticisms, I think, are incredibly helpful, and people that are playing today are helping us make the launch better. And so I'm just delighted to be here, and I think that if players are out there wondering, like, I never got into WoW, or I haven't been playing for a while, Midnight is the perfect time to come back, and we can't wait to have them.
Yeah, everything that Toby said, like 100% feel the same way. I would say the work that we put on housing was massive, like he said, and seeing people here at the floor, I took some time, like 1 hour, just to watch people playing, like, oh gosh, people just like feel so natural, and I can see a lot of people don't play WoW too, that came here to the demo.
Yeah.
And I saw this little boy making like the perfect alliance dining room.
Aww.
And that made my day. It looks so perfect and online, and it was really, really, really nice to see that. And also fulfilling, yes, for sure. And also very happy to see the work that we started with the UI for many years ago at this point keep going, and then we having the opportunities to keep working on those updates, and we know that having a UI that it's very intuitive, easy to use, having less things to download would be amazing for players. We'll be very, very excited to have that. And hearing the feedback is very key for housing design. Any other feature, UI is very, very important, because it's almost like a non-stop kind of improvement that we do, and then we see the positivity back from players.
Exactly. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much
Thank
for joining me
you.
here today. It's been an
Thank
absolute
you.
pleasure. I know you folks out there have been seeing a bunch of Midnight stuff. You folks are probably getting excited. I'm getting excited. Make sure you keep all up to date with the Midnight news, because it's going to come thick and fast.